السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
الله أكبر الله أكبر. الله أكبر الله أكبر. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله. أشهد أن محمدًا رسول الله. أشهد أن محمدًا رسول الله. حي على الصلاة. حي على الصلاة. حي على الفلاح. حي على الفلاح. الله أكبر الله أكبر. لا إله إلا الله.
إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا. من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له. وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن نبينا محمدا عبده ورسوله صلى الله عليه وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. أما بعد. Brothers and sisters in Islam, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has mentioned more than once in the Quran how noble the creation of Adam alayhi salam was, and how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala blessed not only Adam alayhi salam but his offspring, his children. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran, وَلَقَدْ كَرَّمْنَا بَنِي آدَمَ, that verily indeed we have shown great favor upon the children of Adam. And the scholars in Islam, they say this favor, this blessing, it is shown in many different ways. One of the main ways is the intellect that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given human beings. Now, intelligence, Islamically, it is not something that is reserved for mankind. We do not look upon other animals as being incompetent. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us in the Quran itself that other animals form nations. They worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in their own language, in their own speech. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala even blessed his prophet Sulaiman alayhi salam to understand the speech of certain animals. But yet, at the same time, Islamically we understand that the intellect of humans is, in most cases, far greater than the intellect of other animals. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala encourages us to use that intelligence. This is one of the reasons why things that affect a person's intelligence is haram. Substance abuse, whether it be small or big, it is haram in Islam. Because it takes away that fundamental blessing that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave us. And we behave and we act like as if we never received this blessing. And if you look into the history of Islam, as we always point towards, you will see how the scholars in Islam utilized this blessing. They provided knowledge to communities that in the past had not been present. I'll give you just an example. The Islamic mathematicians, those whose field was in maths, they spent hours, weeks, months, lifetimes. And what they accomplished was amazing. History shows us that these great men and women, when they would go to translate, not just from the mathematics, but any form of Islamic or worldly knowledge, they would be given the weight of that book in gold, the weight of the book that was translated from whatever language into the Arabic language. They would receive the weight of that book in gold as a compensation. And some of the very fundamental aspects and sciences and things that the world has based their research upon today are things like the zero. I'm sure many of the brothers and sisters here have come across that the numbers that we use today, it comes from the early Muslim research. Some people, they dispute this fact. They say, no, it comes from India. Even if it came from India, the one thing that is beyond dispute is the fact that Muslim scholars were the ones that introduced that number, that value, zero. Without that value, a lot of mathematical problems would not have been able to be solved. And again, it is not to show that Muslims by default are better in all cases than non-Muslims. But it is to show us that that intelligence, that the use of it, what can be achieved, and what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants us to achieve. And on the flip side, there is an important point to make, that as Muslims, we do not think of science as an obstacle. But yet as Muslims, we understand that science has its limits. When the Quraysh, the tribe of the Prophet ﷺ, heard about him traveling during the Isra and Mi'raj from Mecca to Quds, and from Quds to the heavens, and then back, almost all of them said, this can't be happening, this is a fairy tale, this is something that is made up. Why? Because the science at that time was limited, and they could not comprehend. They even said that it takes more than 2 weeks for a person to travel to Quds. 2 weeks to go there and 2 weeks to come back. And yet you're telling us that you traveled not only to Quds, Bayt al-Maqdis, but you went all the way to the heavens, and then you came back, all in one night. And Abu Bakr as-Siddiq radiallahu anhu, who relied on his faith, when he could not explain it, he relied upon his faith, because he knew that the Prophet ﷺ was trustworthy. He said, if the Prophet ﷺ is telling me this, then I believe in him regarding things that are far greater. You're speaking about a short journey that took place in one night. I believe in him when he's telling me about the afterlife. I believe in him when he's telling me that there's a Jannah and a Nar. I believe in him when he's telling me about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And all that you're fixated and focused on is how did he travel from this point to another point. And it highlights that point that in Islam we work with science. We help increase our collective understanding. But at the same time understand that there are certain points where we believe that science has not reached yet. I'll give you another example. Right now, today, as yesterday and many years before, there is an ongoing debate. Are we the only ones, human beings on this planet? Is this the only planet that supports life? Are there such things as aliens? And in Islam, we understand that our knowledge is limited. We do not speak without evidence. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us in the Quran, وَيَخْلُقُ مَا لَا تَعْلَمُونَ. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created that which you do not know about. People look up into the heavens, they look into the sky, into the universe. Yet Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has told us that there are other creations that live with us on a daily basis. That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created. The jinn living amongst us. Mentioned both in the Quran and the Sunnah. Yet you meet Muslims that deny their existence. You will meet people who will say there's no such thing as jinn, there's no such thing as angels. And why? Because they will tell you, my whole life I've never seen them. My whole life I haven't heard a jinn speak. My whole life I have never encountered an angel. But people of faith, they fall back on their faith. In the same way that Abu Bakr as-Siddiq radiallahu anhu understood that there were certain things that he did not have knowledge about. We as well, we understand. And this is a concept that is difficult to comprehend. We say we live in the 21st century. If we come across a statement in the Quran or a hadith from the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and we cannot prove it right there and then, for many of us, we lose faith. We say, well, science is saying this, and the hadith is saying something else. How is this possible? But the point of the whole khutbah is to acknowledge the intelligence that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us, first and foremost. Secondly, to encourage each other to use it for good. And you see how a community thrives, how a community becomes greater, reaches its potential once that intellect is used. Not everyone is required to become a doctor. Not everyone is meant to be a lawyer, but at least seek that knowledge. Learn about the fundamentals, whether it is your religion or if it is worldly knowledge. If you have difficulty in seeking knowledge and sitting and becoming an academic, try looking at other ways that you can benefit your community. Not only your community, but people around you. We mention again and again the story of Yusuf alayhi salam. How he was so full of khayr, so full of goodness, that wherever he went, when he was thrown into a prison, he benefited the prisoners. When he was removed from that prison, he rose in rank and became a minister. Where? In Egypt. A place where they had not encountered someone like Yusuf alayhi salam. We share many things with that situation. And it is even more important for us today, here and now, because we are not prophets like Yusuf alayhi salam. Our fathers are not prophets. We need to come together as a community. We need to seek that knowledge. And even more importantly than just seeking that knowledge, we need to implement it. And we need to use it for the benefit of our own community and the benefit of others as well. أقول ما تسمعون وأستغفر الله لي ولكم ولسائر المسلمين من كل ذنب فاستغفروه إنه هو الغفور الرحيم. الحمد لله على إحسانه والشكر له على توفيقه وامتنانه وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له تعظيما لشانه وأشهد أن نبينا محمدا عبده ورسوله صلى الله عليه وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. أما بعد. When we speak about knowledge, many of us feel like it is a boat that already sailed away. We are in our 40s, our 50s, our 60s. And we think, I had my chance. I never took it. But the abwab, the doors for khayr are many. If you miss that chance, if you miss that opportunity, it does not mean that all hope is lost. You should try to invest in the next generation, in your own children, if you have children. If you don't have children, invest in the community. Help others. When you look into the stories of the companions, you will see that they had particular skills. Some of them, like Abu Hurairah, was given a great memory. And he would spend as much time as possible with the Prophet ﷺ. But he did not have means. He was not rich. He was not a businessman. Yet other companions, like Abdurrahman bin Auf and Abu Bakr as-Siddiq radiallahu anhu, they had the means, but they were busy businessmen. Yet they supported each other. Umar bin Khattab radiallahu anhu, he struck a deal with his neighbor. And he said, one day you go to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam and you spend your time in the masjid of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam and you memorize that knowledge, and in the evening you come back and you share that knowledge with me. And I will look after my own family and your family during that day. And the next day we will swap. Next day I go to the Prophet ﷺ and I benefit. And I bring it back to you and I share it with you. And they had this system. And if we have a system like it, if those who are inclined towards knowledge and academics get the help from others in the community, who are good at what they do, then we will see those achievements that we so want to see. On another note, Ramadan is coming close. Did you know that it is only 40 December? We'll start planning for Ramadan. You never ever want to be the type of person that finds out that Ramadan is tomorrow or the day after tomorrow. Because you will not be able to benefit. You will not be able to reap the potentials, the rewards of Ramadan effectively. So this is an early warning for everyone, including myself, that Ramadan is almost upon us. 40 days. It feels like last Ramadan was just a blink away, just yesterday. So let us put our hands together, let's help each other and make this Ramadan even better than the past Ramadan. On a final note, Alhamdulillah, Alhamdulillah, alladhi bi'ni'matihi tatimmu salihat. Last week, we had our youth conference. And it always makes me extremely happy to see a plan coming together, to see people sacrificing their time, their wealth, whatever they have, to benefit each other. Doing all that for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And we received some feedback from people who participated. And the majority of it was extremely good. There was some constructive criticism, and that is always good. But the feedback from the community was such that, inshallah, we hope that we can make this an annual event that keeps happening on a yearly basis, and that we increase on that. Because in reality, we need to do as much as we can. It is not enough that we do this once a year and hope that it will fix the problems in the community. No. Ideally, we need to do something every month, every 2 months, every 3 months. Ramadan is coming. And after Ramadan, there's the summer break. 2 months, 3 months. University students might have even longer. What are we going to do for that time? What does the community need? And nothing can be accomplished without the help of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala first and foremost. And then with the help of the community. The reason why the conference was a success, it was not because of me. It was not because of the board members. It was because of the community. It was because the people stood behind it, both with their pockets ready to give, and both with their time. They asked again and again, what can we do? On Sunday we had a spring cleaning event here in the masjid. The children did the most work. Makes you so happy to see, both boys and girls. But brothers and sisters, we need to keep it up. And I hope you will join me in preparing for Ramadan and what comes after Ramadan. ثم اعلموا أيها المؤمنون أن الله أمركم بأمر بدأ به بنفسه وثنى بملائكة القدس وثلث بكم أيها المؤمنون من جن وإنس. وقد قال الله تبارك وتعالى إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما. اللهم صل وسلم على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. وارض اللهم عن خلفائه الأربعة أبي بكر وعمر وعثمان وعلي وعن سائر الصحابة ومن تبعهم بإحسان إلى يوم الدين وعنا معهم برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. اللهم أعز الإسلام والمسلمين. اللهم أعز الإسلام والمسلمين. اللهم أعز الإسلام والمسلمين يا رب العالمين. اللهم اشف مرضانا ومرضى المسلمين. اللهم اشف مرضانا ومرضى المسلمين. وارحم موتانا وموتى المسلمين برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. ربنا تقبل منا إنك أنت السميع العليم وتب علينا إنك أنت التواب الرحيم. ربنا تذكرون فاذكروا الله يذكركم واشكروه على نعمه يزدكم ولذكر الله تعالى أكبر. الله يعلم ما تصنعون. أقيموا الصلاة.